Come join Kyle, John, and David as they go through what's on the playlist. Find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest. In and out points, no celebs and the gossip. Back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue. Quick checks, who'll be laughing? You abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you hear all latest about Back to the Future from too many else with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick. Last time we did this, I couldn't think of a blank to the blank, but this time I'm the Doc to your Marty.
Okay, that's classic. I love it, John.
Nice.
Yeah, I think last time you got like plutonium mixed up with uranium or something.
Did.
Oh boy, not like they're gonna not hear that again in 10 minutes, but no, we don't have a time machine to fix it. So this week's episode is a little interesting. So next week, July 3rd, we mark the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future.
Man.
40 years. Instead of doing an hour-long deep dive on the 40th, we already kind of did that. We did like a 2 hour long deep dive for the 30th. Which we recorded in June of 2015 for the release on July 1st. So what we're going to do is kind of get you set up for that, and then we're going to throw to our 2 hour conversation, scene by scene, moment by moment of Back to the Future from 2015. Overall, John, any thoughts like when you went to listen back to it? Like whether it's technical or like quality of what our conversation was?
I'm going to be very, very honest.
Yeah.
I listened to about 10 minutes and I could not listen to anymore.
Oh my God. Was it?
It was that dang co-host saying uranium instead of plutonium.
Oh, no. Was it that? No.
You know what? It's one of those things like listening to yourself.
Yeah.
I was commenting about this on stream the other day about being a very different person than I was 10 years ago. And like, it just feels weird to like re-entertain that feeling of 10 years ago. So yeah, I definitely was listening to it and I was like, I'd rather go watch the movie. Yeah. Not that anybody listening to this should go watch the movie.
Yes, please.
Listen to the podcast first.
Listen to the podcast. You guys listening, we're not the hosts of it, so you don't have this 10-year feeling about yourselves listening back. I wish I had the time machine to go back and fix all my ums. I hope after 350 some odd pods later, I've gotten better at hosting a podcast. I hope. Less ums. I'm hoping. I'm sure there's still some, but I'm hoping I gotten better. Also, my memory is shot. Like, I was ready to come on and tell the story about how I met Leah Thompson and this whole thing about, this is my density when I was taking the photo with her and like, ha ha ha. I was like, there's no way I told that story. But then I'm like listening and I hear the story and I'm like, it makes me wonder how much I repeat on the podcast after the 460 episodes, like how many stories and anecdotes and things that we just keep repeating over and over and over again. But there were some new things since then, though. Thankfully, no remake. We mentioned no remake, but we did mention a musical on the podcast. And I saw it 2 years ago on Broadway, actually.
No sequel either.
Yeah, no sequel. That's very important as well.
Also important.
But no, I was able to see the Broadway musical just about, exactly. I think I saw it on July 3rd of all days. But it was different, but also a lot of fun. The highlight definitely, I think, was like the actor who played George really nailed it. Doc, maybe was a bit too over the top. He really playing to the audience. Not my Doc, but the special effects are also really cool. They actually, to show time travel in like a speeding DeLorean, like on the stage, like, how can you show a moving vehicle on stage? And spoiler, at the end, it flew over the audience with Doc and Marty inside, went upside down. Like, oh, how are we doing this? This is pretty cool. But like the cable version, which we discussed, no Libyans in the musical. It's plutonium poisoning is what Doc is suffering from that we have to get fixed. But so it's kind of like, interesting, like when you're talking about the musical. It's like, oh, they announced the musical. It's in London. I wonder what it's about. And it's like, I know what it's about. I went to it. Like, it's like this, it's a wild thing. But so there's a couple podcast lines also like kind of stood out to me. One line really hit hard, John. Again, we recorded this in 2015, and we discussed the line, "Who's president of the United States in 1985?" And in 2015, we're like, who? Well, yeah, but like we're like, who in 2015 would it be crazy or outlandish to say? Who could like if they were making the film now, like who's president of the United States in 2015? We were like, well, what would be a crazy thing? And the one we came up with, like Chris Pratt. That was our crazy take, and we were like, and John, you gave like, oh God, please no.
At this point, I'd get on my knees and beg for him.
If only, if only. And while that didn't age too well a year later, it certainly doesn't age any better 10 years later. But yeah, there's another line that stood out was I'm commenting on how Marty almost calls his mom hot. And he's just like, and I said, not sure I would ever refer to my mom as hot. And your response? Nothing. You left me hanging on that one. There was zero response. The silence was deafening. Nothing.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know if I have a good response now either.
Yeah, at least you're laughing with me here. Instead, I was just sitting waiting for. I thought your internet went out or something. Yeah.
I can edit some crickets in for you.
Yeah. Well, maybe on the remake, but thankfully no remake of Back to the Future. But Bob Gale, Bob Zemeckis both have said as long as they're alive, no remake, no sequel. I don't want to be morbid, but I'm scared to think about the next 10 years, the next 20 years, how that may not be the case. But like also like, will this work? Like I'm sure it will. Like but like 1950 to 1980 was such a big jump in culture. I feel like can really see the difference. Maybe it's just because we lived through it and we're still living through it. But like 2005 to 2025, sure, there's some differences, but I really feel like with the dawn of the internet and everything, it's like, is it that big of a crazy jump as like 50s to 80s was? Like what's crazy is like we're further out now from the movie than Marty was from the 50s.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like you really feel like a difference between 50s and 80s. And I know when they were making like the film, like they kind of, it was 1955, but it's like, okay, some of these things are like maybe late 40s were popular, early 50s were popular. So like they went a little bit further back, but I just don't know. Like, what do you think, John? Do you think like it would work?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, again, the last 10 years, things are so different, but yeah, I think the internet both like accelerates it, but also kind of like blurs it a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I could see it going either way. I don't know how it would work in a modern day scenario, but I'm sure you could get some sort of script together that's competent. But yeah, I don't know if there's enough difference. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one to even like parse. You know what I mean? Because I'm so like. We're so like, I don't know, as humans, like, I feel like our viewpoint is now, like, yeah, we can look back, but like, I don't know, I guess I'm too stuck in the moment,
Like, I feel like you could see maybe a difference with like the 90s, but like, I don't know, it's like the early 2000s, like, I don't know, I just don't see it yet. Because even with shows like Pen 15, it's like, yes, like, it was different, but like, is it, 50s to 80s was drastically different, I feel like, at least with the show.
Yeah, let me ask you this, is that because we are no longer kids or young adults? Yeah. Like, is it just our perspective? Is that like, I mean,
it could be because it's like again, like we lived through it versus, we didn't know 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And it's very like, I don't know what the word is, like basic, but like, 50s is, it's the diners and the slick back hair and like, and then the 60s it's tie-dye and 70s disco and 80s, like it's very almost, like generalizing.
It's almost a parody of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? Yeah. And I don't know if the maybe not yet the parody is there for 2005. I don't know.
We're living in the parody of 2005 at this point. Like
that's true. Time's a flat circle at this point, but any other things? I know you only listened about like 10 minutes of any other like thoughts of Back to the Future, our podcast of 2015?
No, I feel old. I mean, I wasn't even alive when it came out, but like I still feel old. Like,
yeah.
Even again, the 10 years makes me feel old, let alone it being 40 years since it came out. Like,
yeah. And we made a lot of promises on that podcast, John. We talked about Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3. We didn't do those in 2019 or 2020 for their 30th. So it's like what did we have going on in 2020 where we couldn't do Back to the Future 3? But
yeah, we had all the time in the world, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and who knows? Maybe for the 50th anniversary, oh God, we can redo this pod. And so you can actually listen to it, John, and not feel, bad about it. But I think if we ever did it, there's like hints of it during this podcast they're about to listen to, where it's like, I want to almost watch Back to the Future 1 in relation to the sequels. Like we discussed the dance being so wild that maybe it was because of the spike punch we see in part 2, but it's like almost I want like more of that, where it's like, okay, because part 2 goes into part 1. It's like, okay, like let's talk a little bit more about like the chicken of it all. And like some of those things, it's like, oh, it's because of this. And like he's there over here, like kind of like almost seeing it as a whole. I know that would be like a paradox, but like seeing all three movies as a whole and then talking about the movie 1 with the relation timelines of 2 and 3 at the same time.
So to draw maybe some comparison, there was some really cool shots in Severance that people as a fans lined up and saw how they fit together. I wonder how a recut version of the show to be more, maybe not chronological, but to include everything from the 3 shows as one cut. If that would
are you talking about somebody taking the 3 movies and doing that, or I thought you were going to talk about all the editing work you're going to do for our podcast, cutting all the stuff into part 1 and part 2 and part 3 into a timeline cut.
That's for the 100th anniversary.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great. Can't wait.
Yeah. Mark your calendar.
I mean, AI will be taking care of probably the 50th at this point, but let alone 100th. But
yeah, like you're saying, I do wonder what it would be like if it were cut to be more linear rather than a chunk and you're going back and forth in time through them all and all that. So
yeah, especially I mean, obviously like it wouldn't be perfect, but yeah, like with part 1, part 2, so many things happening at the same time, different perspectives. It would be cool to check out. I'm sure there's like an edit out there that somebody's done.
Somebody's must have.
But or at the very least, like having all 3 movies just like play like because obviously there's a little bit of overlap in each one that like you can just like have one master file where it just plays it through. Yeah. But
except for it's a couple characters can't change, but
that would be a little weird where it's like we jump and it's a different Jennifer, different George, different but all right. Well, enough about talking about what we talked about. Let's get to it. We will be back with new live shows later this month on Twitch and on YouTube with podcasts available wherever you get your podcasts. We're currently planning on covering Squid Game Season 3, The Bear Season 4, and the Emmy nominations in July. So be sure you are subscribed to the podcast. But until then, it's time for our special look back. That's what you're about to hear. This is Back to the Future, the 30th anniversary from 2015. Goodbye, everybody. Great Scott! Welcome to Do or Done See, the only podcast.
Turn web show.
Turn ICTV show.
Turn blog.
Turn time machine into a DeLorean. We can hear all latest in television entertainment news with 2 hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and the other one is...
John Berwick. I am... Ooh, I didn't think of one today. I am... the uranium to your DeLorean.
All right. All right.
Oh, it's plutonium, wasn't it? Oh, no.
We got to go back in time and restart this. If only we had a time machine to just restart that opening. Because, John, I don't know if you're ready for a 2-hour podcast. Yeah. I mean, we're just going to say it right up front. This is going to probably end up being 2 hours. We did it before with Ghostbusters. And that eclipsed the length of the movie. So it's an inevitable. It's going to happen. Yes, we're talking Back to the Future, so if you don't like Back to the Future, this one might not be for you, because that's all we're doing this week. celebrate the 30th anniversary. Let's see, on July 3rd. It's just a few days away as the time of recording. 30 years ago, this movie came out, and 24 years ago, when I was born, it had a profound impact on my life. And yeah, we're just gonna go through the movie scene by scene, and we're just gonna just have some fun with this. Ask stupid questions. Talk about favorite moments. We'll nitpick here and there. We both love the film so much that we're gonna make up some stupid questions and things that everyone's like, okay, it's a movie, but like, no, for us this is important, right, John?
It's important as can be.
As important as can be. Yeah. So back in episode 9, almost 100 podcasts ago, we talked about Back to the Future. That was only for about 15 minutes. That was just a segment. This week, it's 2 hours. Before we start, if you're listening to this on iTunes, it's going to probably be compressed there. So why don't you head over to YouTube? That's where we're recording this live in a Google Hangout. Much better quality there. You can listen to it in all of its glory, and all of its 1.21 gigawatts, gigabytes, whatever it turns out to be. All right. So before we get into the film, maybe we should probably talk about our connection to the film and what makes this film special to us to do a 2-hour podcast on it. John, why do you like this movie?
Well, I think the good place to start would be the first time I saw it. This is one of those movies where I didn't see it all the way through the first time I saw it. I saw it in bits and pieces for the first few times, and then I finally sat down and watched it all the way through, and I liked the idea of they didn't just tell a story, but they pulled back in other parts of its own story and showed cause and effect, and not just across this movie, but the whole trilogy. But they did a good job with little Easter eggs of things that changed because of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, to me, like, you hit the nail on the head. We're going to talk a lot about this. There's so much stuff in it where it foreshadows other moments in the movie, in the trilogy. Everything in this first movie. No matter what you say about the sequels, because there's some hits and misses in there. We're not really going to talk about sequels today. But with this one movie, everything that's in there needs to be there, and it's the screenplay is just there. All the moments. It's a really just well done film. Yeah, and this was one of the first movies I saw, and that's probably why I have such a connection to it. I didn't have much TV growing up. I only had like the one channel. Didn't see that many movies, whatever we had on VHS. And I believe my aunt had this VHS. I was probably 3 or 4, probably too young to be watching this movie. But I was watching it, and I just used that tape so many times, rewinding, because that's all I had. But then I really just grew to like this movie. I wanted to be Marty McFly. I wanted, to ride my skateboard around and hang out with my dad when he was a kid. There's just so much to it. I wanted to be him, and yeah, it's just ever since then. I'm speechless, and that's a problem because it's a 2-hour podcast. We got to talk about this movie. I don't even know what to say. One of our friends, Jeremiah Panhorse, he sent in his connection to the film, like why is it important to him, and he said, "I've seen Back to the Future more times than should be allowed. As a kid, I remember wanting to be Marty. I would practice his skateboard trick where he flips the board to his hand many times. Now when I watch it, it transports me back in time when I was a kid. It's a priceless classic, and I hope they never remake." I completely agree with all that. Yeah.
Let's not even talk about that.
Let's not even jinx it with even bringing up a possible remake. No, it's not happening. But yeah, the movie transports us to another place and another dimension, another time. Now let's go back to 1985 and let's talk about some basics about the film here. This movie, when it opened, they thought it was going to be a flop, and it turns out it spent 11 weeks at number 1 and the 4th highest opening weekend of 1985, and it was the top grossing film of the year, and it beat such classics as Rambo: First Blood Part 2, Rocky 4, The Color Purple, and The Goonies. I guess that was a pretty good year for Sylvester Stallone there.
Yeah, right.
He still lost to Marty, but yeah, Rambo: First Blood Part 2. I don't know how you can have a First Blood Part 2, but and then and Rocky 4, yeah. And then this movie made over 381 million on a budget of about 19 million. The adjusted gross on that is about $479 million. Not bad for a movie about a kid trying to a kid where his mom is falling in love with him and his dad is a geek who watches science fiction theater.
And those numbers are just for that initial release, right? Because I know that in our sophomore year they had a limited engagement of a couple weeks in theaters.
Yeah. That's just that original run. Back in the summer there. That's not even counting the DVD releases, the 25th re-release. I'm sure the 30th anniversary we're gonna have. Probably later this fall they'll probably re-release it. And I think it was only playing in like 1,700 theaters. It wasn't playing in the 3,000, 4,000 that we have today. So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, but I remember us. We were there. It was pretty packed.
Oh yeah. That was.
And this, I don't know if the town we were in was even a big town, but it was pretty packed.
Yeah, and that says a lot about the film. Everyone, 25, 30 years later, people that are not even 25 and 30 were in there watching it. So let's talk about how it all came together. Bob Gale, one of the writers and producers of the film, he found his high school yearbook, his father's high school yearbook, and he was surprised to find out that his father was the president of his graduating class. And he was like, well, I had nothing to do with my president of my graduating class. Would I have been friends with my dad back in the day? And that kind of got the ball rolling for this script. And they talked with Columbia Pictures. They had a deal for a script back in 1980. It took them 5 years to get this thing off the ground because for the most part it was not sexual enough for it to be released. In the 80s you had films like Porky's, you had Fast Times at Ridgemont High, all these films, and people kept saying no, it's just not, it's not what everything else is out. And then they all said, you got to go to Disney with it. And then Disney's like, a mom falling in love with their son? Nope. It's too risky. We don't want it. So it was just in this development, just all these problems. They wanted Spielberg to help out Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. We're going to turn to Steven Spielberg, and they already had 2 flops with him, so we figured one more, that'd be it for Zemeckis. He wouldn't have a job anymore if he keeps getting Spielberg involved and keep flopping with him. Thankfully, we had Romancing the Stone. It came out. It was a big hit. They went back to Spielberg, and boom, we got a movie. But as many people know, it wasn't Michael J. Fox. It was Eric Stoltz in the lead role. They wanted Michael at first. He was the original choice, but Family Ties, it stopped him from doing his commitment to Family Ties. So they cast Eric Stoltz, and it didn't work out. He was too dramatic. He couldn't ride a skateboard. Have you seen any of this footage, John, of Eric Stoltz on YouTube?
I think I saw a couple of pictures that you had shared with me, specifically the picture that Marty holds up when he is disappearing from time, which was with both with Eric and Marty's, and the differences in location and apparel that they were sporting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird seeing the picture because the other two are like exactly the same, exactly in the right outfits, but Marty and Eric are switched out and are different. I know they shot a lot of important scenes with Eric. I believe they shot some of the climax. They shot the film or the part where he originally goes back in time, back into the 50s at the mall. They shot a lot of expensive stuff. They shot 4 weeks with him. And to start over, it would cost $3 more million on a budget at that point of 14. So, that's a month they have to redo here. But they wanted this film with Michael. I mean, it just wasn't working with Eric. He just wasn't getting the humor of the character. And this actually kind of works out. Like, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about today where it's like, if this film was the original script that we had, it would not have probably been the hit that it is. There's a lot of changes that just happened like this, because they stalled with 4 weeks with Eric. Michael J. Fox, his commitment with Family Ties, one of the other people on the show, was out of maternity leave, so she was back. It allowed Michael to have some time. He pretty much did it right after Family Ties and on weekends, but they worked it out. They shot for about 100 days. They ended on April 20th. Now, it was supposed to come out in May, but April 20th, that's not enough time. So they pushed it to August, but after the first test screening, it went through the roof. It was huge. So they moved it to July 3rd, to cash in on 4th of July. And they had sound editors in there, 24-hour shifts. They brought in more editors, like, just to get the film ready. I mean, that's crazy. Most films, it's like, The Avengers was shot 2 years ago, and obviously there's a lot of special effects in there, but still, to go from April 20th to July 3rd, the cuts and edits and scoring, it was quick. Maybe they had a time machine behind the scenes. So John, I don't know if you have any other backstage info, but I'm ready to jump right into the film here.
Let's do it. Let's get going.
Let's get going. You're ready. You're looking at the clock and you're like, we got 2 hours of this. All right. So the film opens up. We're in Doc Brown's garage, and this shot, when I'm a kid, I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of boring. But watching it now, there's so much in this one continuous shot. It's one shot, and it's done. There's so much information. We find out, the Brown Mansion was destroyed. We find out the date of the film. We find that there's missing plutonium, and that we find it underneath Doc's bed. We meet Marty. I couldn't even imagine. They have all these clocks all set to the same time. This was back before effects and stuff. I can't even imagine the pain in the ass it was to make these clocks be the same time, because if they screwed up this shot, this one continuous shot, they had to turn them all around.
All the clocks, yeah. This is one of my favorite shots, because I think it really exemplifies what Doc Brown is as a character, as a very eccentric person with all these little, very fine detail items, which are all painstakingly set at the same time, and he has the automatic feeder for Einstein, and it's crazy. Yeah. It's one of my favorite shots.
Yeah, and this all, we can talk about eccentric Doc Brown here, because with these clocks, we later find out that Doc Brown's experiment worked, and that they're all exactly 25 minutes slow. What the hell kind of experiment was this? That I was just like, yeah, good job, Doc. You put the clocks 25 minutes slow. I'll do that right now on my phone. I'll say I'm in Los Angeles and it'll be 3 hours behind. I'm trying to think if there's some kind of gravitational Earth rotation he was working on. He wasn't doing time travel because we find out Einstein is the world's first time traveler, so he didn't travel 25 minutes into the future or anything like that. So I don't have any idea what this experiment was.
Maybe he slowed time for his house. I
don't know. Just for that one house, because makes Marty late for school, which is weird. So Marty, I mean, when I went to school, I woke up at the very last second I had to. I went right on the bus and I went right to school. I was still half asleep. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Marty is waking up. He's going on his skateboard across town to just hook up to this amplifier to play some music. It's, I don't know. It just seems weird at like 7:30 in the morning. Oh, I got to go rock out.
It was the 80s. He probably had to wake up early to do his hair, man.
Maybe. Yeah. And so yeah, we find out there's a slight possibility of overload. Well, he cranked it all the way up. So yeah, it's like, what did Marty think was going to happen? You turned the speakers up to 11. You turned them all the way up. Like, okay, yeah, it's going to happen. And you stand right in front of it. That's not good.
Yeah, that probably would have hurt him more than he showed.
Yeah, there was like paint cans falling from the thing on him. It was like a Home Alone moment.
It threw him across the room. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. So we can also talk about here, like, what's possibly Doc's relationship with Marty, because it is kind of strange. It doesn't seem like it's his uncle. It's not his grandfather. It's just this old eccentric guy that he's hanging around. I've read things online where maybe, like, Marty would go over, clean up the place, sweep, do some odd chores, and maybe Doc would buy him beer, like, something like that, or he could hook up to the guitar amplifier. But I don't know, I still don't see that in Marty, where it's like, I don't see him as, first of all, the beer guy. I don't see him, and also, if he did come over to clean the apartment, it's pretty shabby, and he's falling behind on that.
See, I'm thinking, I think it all depends on how you think of time travel as working, because if Doc knows that Marty's going to go back in time already because of the letter and him getting shot, maybe he sought out Marty to do work so they would meet, so that he could go back in time so he could meet him in the past, so we can form that loop.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some paradoxes already. I can tell with this. This is it's gonna be tough here. Yeah, so I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, I could see that as a possible thing. I guess it's just one of those things where we're just gonna have to buy. Now, yeah, so Marty's running late. He's on his way to school, and first of all, he's waving to all these girls in the gym. I'm wondering who these girls are, because first of all, it's a school day, so they're not his age, so they must be older. Are these older, like, ladies? Are these, like, his friend's mom? Like, they all seem to know him. They're all, like, waving, like, they're all excited to see him. What's going on there?
The only thing I think of is maybe he passes and waves every day, so they're waving back, but
I don't know. We're going to talk a little bit more about Marty later here with these girls and Jennifer being cool with it, but we'll get to that. So Strickland busts them as they get into school. Jennifer and Marty. That's 4 tardy slips for Marty, and we get a really close confrontation with Strickland here. I don't know. Maybe it's something in the 80s, but if you did that now and their noses were like touching there, I think that'd be like, okay, buddy, back off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they talk about the auditions later that day. Why even bother? This guy is a terrible role model and educator. Why even bother, dude? You don't have a chance. It's just put down after put down after put down. And Marty does have the auditions later. He plays Power of Love in front of Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis is dressed up as a geek, the glasses, everything there. And he tells Marty, sorry, you're just too darn loud. Like, what did they expect at this this
from a bunch of kids?
From a bunch of kids at a school dance for a band. Yeah, they're gonna play loud. Okay, so you're telling them if they just played quieter, they would get the gig? Like, I don't know. Like, what kind of music are these guys expecting that they're going to play in the 80s here?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
I would assume that would be exactly what everyone wanted, but
yeah, they're going to be playing Earth Angel at this thing. Yeah. So, all right. So he doesn't get it, and he's walking home from school, and he's just I'm not sending in the thing to the record company. I'm not going to do it. He's down on himself. And Jennifer's like, oh, no, you got to do it. It's like you're always saying, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. Now, this is when these girls from the aerobics class walk by, and he's staring right at their behinds. And then Jennifer just moves his head and like, oh, what are you looking at? Kind of thing. You, from what I know, she would not be happy about this. Most girls, or guys, with their girlfriend wouldn't want them checking out another guy or a girl. But Jennifer's cool with it. I don't know. What do you think about just Jennifer in general, John?
I don't know. I was gonna say that maybe they're not quite that together, but then in a few minutes they Marty talks about taking his car up to the lake with her. So that kind of seems pretty serious to me. So I don't know. What's going on.
Well, maybe that's just his thing with all the aerobics girls. That's how they're getting their exercise on the weekends, is bringing them up to the lake. And it's weird too that it's I'm gonna go camping with the guys. I don't even know what guys. I didn't know he had friends. Like, he has Doc and he has Jennifer. That's it. But Jennifer actually was originally this actress, Melora Hardin. I believe she was in The Office and a bunch of other shows. She was actually cut along with Eric Stoltz because she was casted when it was Eric. And Michael J. Fox is pretty short. I think he's like 5'4", 5'5", and Jennifer would be way too tall for Michael. So she actually got cut because of her height. I feel like there's been plenty of times where Tom Cruise, I know he's another short actor, they just they dig a hole in the ground for the other actress, or they put him on apple boxes or something like that. It just stinks to be cut for your height.
Yeah, but the other thing is, there's a lot of scenes of them moving around.
Yeah.
I
don't know. They could have done some movie magic. So they're on the bench, and they're trying to talk about the lake. They're all excited for that, but then we get interrupted by this "Save the clock tower! Save the clock tower!" And there all this story that's going to happen later. This is one of the times where at first you're like, okay, shut up, old lady. Like, I want to watch this movie. But it's like, actually, this is very important because, that sets up everything later. We get the flyer with all the information for Doc. Marty just gives her a quarter. I don't know why they're adding up this money. It's one thing if they were on the side of the mayor to replace the clock, because then they would need the money for the project. But they're against the project, so I don't know what this money is going for. And I don't know what a quarter is going to do for that. She seems happy, but yeah, I don't know. And one last thing from this scene I want to point out. So we're in the time that you're already laughing. Do you know what I'm going to bring up?
I see your notes.
I know. So 1985 isn't doing too well for Hill Valley here. It's kind of a rundown place. But in the middle of the town square, there's a movie theater, and they're playing a movie. The title of which is Orgy American Style. What is this? And how is this allowed in the town square? Normally, it would just say XXX movie, or like you. I didn't know there was theaters like this. Just, it's like a local Regal, an AMC. Here we go. We got that new Michael Bay movie, Orgy American Style. Like, what?
I can just imagine if it was made by Michael Bay with all the lights and
explosions and oh, jeez. I don't even know what type of film this is. It's like Orgy American Style. So we're in America. Like, it's just call it orgy. I don't know.
Maybe foreign ones are different.
Yeah. Orgy First Blood Part 2. Whatever.
Nah, all right. There shouldn't be any blood, please.
Okay. All right, we got to move on. We're moving on. He skateboards home, and what I love this house. I actually visited this house. I visited many of these locations when I was in Los Angeles, and I just like how they choose this house, and you see the power lines behind it. And I don't know if this was it must have been intentional, but like you can look back on it now and say, power lines, obviously electricity. We get lightning at the end. Marty needs lightning, a bolt of lightning to be sent back to home pretty much. He needs to be sent back home to 1985, and his home actually has, you know, a lighting grid right behind it. I just think that was a really nice touch. But in the house, we meet Biff and George. All right, so what do you think? This is our first introduction into these characters. What do you think about Biff and or George?
George seems like he'd be an alright guy if he wasn't, stuck under Biff's boot, which I guess is kind of what we see later. But yeah, Biff is kind of a not so nice person. I don't know if I can say the word I want to say.
He's a butthead.
There you go.
He's a butthead. But yeah, Biff is actually, he's named after Ned Tannen, who is a Universal executive who was aggressive towards Zemeckis and Gale on a past project. Originally, it was supposed to be J.J. Cohen, who will later play Skinhead, one of Biff's gang and it's another height thing. It was originally JJ was not big enough up against Eric Stoltz, so they hire they hire I'm forgetting his name right now. I should know this, but yeah, they get Biff, and that was it. They got him, kind of thing. And if maybe they started with Michael, this actor would not, which I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now, he would not have gotten this part. And that's crazy to me that, again, it just happened to work out this way. That Thomas F. Wilson, there we go, got the part. Then we also we got Crispin Glover as George McFly. You're talking about this character here. Supposedly he improvised many of his mannerisms, the geekiness, the shaking of the hand, stuff like that. But Zemeckis jokes that he endlessly threw a net over him because he was completely wrong 50% of the time with his interpretation of the character. I mean, we've heard stories of how eccentric this guy is. I remember seeing him on Letterman, where he was as this weird character, and he nearly kicks Letterman's head off. He's out there, and I could see that already in this George McFly character.
I like the amount of awkwardy kind of shakiness that he had. I thought he did an alright job. So
well, that's with the net on him.
Yeah. I don't know if I could see him being crazier though. That
was that was him at 5 on the dial, not up to 11 like Marty cranked the amplifier. That was just 5. But all right, so now we also in this scene we find out about the blind spot accident with Biff, and how can you loan me a car without telling me that there's a blind spot? Well, obviously he was just a terrible driver, and we get the whole scene with how he's still bullying him at this day and age, and I'm just curious. I'm curious what we think their job is. That George is. I guess, is he writing these reports? Because he has to have time to get them retyped. He says retyped instead of just typed. So does that mean they were already typed? And then Biff is going to get them retyped? I don't get why you need... it's one thing back in the 50s where you have to change your handwriting. But if they're already typed, you're fine. You're fine, Biff.
Maybe Biff has a different typewriter that has different fonts. I don't
know. Come on, Zemeckis, let's get him on the call. What were you doing? What is this? This makes no. He would hang up. He'd be like, "What the hell? Move on, guys. Move on." All right. So now we're sitting down for dinner. Marty's pretty much barely there in this scene, and I think this is one of those scenes that is like the Family Ties thing. They shot him, a wide shot of him there, and then they're like, "Okay." Go back to Family Ties, but it's not really about him anyways. And I can almost make a case that this movie, even though he is the main character, to me, each movie is almost about a different character in the franchise than Marty. I think this first movie is like George McFly, his story. It's the change of George McFly. The second movie, I think, is Biff is the main guy, and then even the third one, it's Doc. It's Doc falling in love and choosing to go back or not. So,
Marty's just a vehicle.
ooh, there you go. He's a DeLorean vehicle, and this scene has a lot of that foreshadowing, seed planting that we were talking about earlier. We get the whole thing about Uncle Joey. We get the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. It's really cool that all these things are being set up here, and then we get the joke, the punchline later on in the movie. Even when we're talking about George, where they're like, "Yeah, I don't get what were you doing in the middle of the street, bird watching?" And he looks, what? And then you're like, what kind of reaction is that? Like, what is that? And then we later find out, because he was being a peeping Tom, and that's why he's like, what? Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed this scene and just all the setup and just the back and forth. Like, at first you're like, who cares? And then later on, it's important.
Yeah, it's the foreshadowing, and it plays its part through the whole movie.
Definitely.
Keeps coming back.
All right. So now we're off to the mall. We're off to Twin Pines Mall. And it's interesting. So we pull up on it, and Einstein's just sitting outside. And I guess Doc is inside the time vehicle, inside of a truck. I don't know how he got in there. It's an amazing reveal of this time machine, but I don't get how, like, there's no other door in there, so he had to lock himself in, and then it's a tight fit. Like,
Yeah, I think he wanted to show it off to Marty, so he pushed it out, got in, drove it in, and then drove it back out.
It's a lot of work.
Turned on the fog machine and drove it back.
Yeah, like, he could have gotten some carbon monoxide poisoning with all. If he's stuck in this box within a box within a box with all the smoke machine, and yeah, that's not good, Doc. You have to be careful.
Yeah, he might go crazy, right?
Yeah. Now, so Einstein's there. I completely forgot this until I did some research. Do you remember that Einstein was originally a chimpanzee?
I think I remember you telling me that a while ago, but I wonder if that was inspired by the chimps that they sent up to space being the first space travelers. Now they could be the first time travelers.
That's certainly possible. And then the original time machine was a fridge. It was a refrigerator. Like, these two things right here. I don't. The chimp maybe not so much. It would have just been weird. But the time machine. I mean, like, I got this everywhere here. I mean, this would not be a cool toy if it was a fridge. Okay.
You pull some Kingdom of the Crystal Skull refrigerator,
Yeah, and it's interesting because they nix it now. They don't do it, and then almost 30 years later, Spielberg does that in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in the fridge. Supposedly, they were concerned back then that kids would maybe accidentally lock themselves in refrigerators, and then they also said that time machines need to be mobile. They have to be able to move around, because it would just wouldn't make sense. You got to be able to move it through time and space.
And sets it up nicely for the train too for the third movie, which I don't know if they were thinking about it at that point, but
yeah. All right, so and then talking about other first choice here. Doc was originally going to be John Lithgow, of the Trinity Killer from Dexter here. But again, it just lucked out. He just was unavailable. I mean, it would have been, sure, I'm sure he would have been good. It'd be interesting to see that. But, John Lithgow and Eric Stoltz versus Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd,
I think we said it with the Ghostbusters podcast, but it would be interesting to see another cast, but I couldn't imagine the movie any other way. They wouldn't be the same movie.
Exactly. What each character did with this. I mean, I have read the script and stuff, and there's been points where it's like, it's a good script. It's obviously great, but it's so much about these performances. All these things have to come together. And what these guys did with their own take is is just great. And Christopher Lloyd, especially here, he supposedly took Albert Einstein and conductor Leopold Stokowski, and he mixed those things together. And like, I still get chills every time where he does his big broad movements and he's like running back and forth. Marty's trying to keep up, because he's going this way, he's going that way, and he's kind of just just moving around. And like, he just goes, this Saturday night we're sending you back to the future, and like he conducts his arm and he just looks right into the camera pretty much, and then he's like, whoa, like he's all like zoned out, like what he just said. And I can't imagine this without Chris Lloyd. Now they do this test with Einstein, and I don't know if you know this. Originally, in the test screening, they didn't tell the people the movie like what it was about. They had no idea. You go into the movie and you're just watching, and you're finding out as you're watching. They were actually scared for Einstein. It was very tense because they expected the dog to be, hurt or even killed. But thankfully, that was not the case. Thankfully, his calculations were correct. And we're going to talk about this right here because, and first of all, this is a great quote. And throughout the podcast, we're going to come up with other quotes and we're going to rank them at the end. But he says, if my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious S word, some serious stuff. And now he makes them stand in front of the car as it's coming at him. Okay, first of all, you put your dog in this thing. Your dog could be, dead by an explosion, by being lost in time. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong with this.
A car crash.
Yeah. Just even something simple like a car crash. A car crash of your dog in a car coming at yourself. You're going to commit suicide with a car coming at you with your dog in the driver's seat. Like, all because of his calculations. He says in the film that this is the first thing he's ever gotten right. I finally invent something that works. Why is he standing in front of a moving car going 88 miles per hour if his calculations are correct? If. This is dangerous, John.
Yeah, it's. You think at a certain point you'd get discouraged and maybe take some more safety precautions.
Yeah.
But
yeah. No, he was just going for it. But thankfully his calculations were correct. And Einstein goes off, becomes the world's first time traveler, and Marty, finally figure out what's going on, and so did the test screening audience with, wait, are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? And he looks into the camera too almost. I'm just like, what? And it's just, those two lines, like, it's gonna be hard to beat them later on here. So the car, it leaves hot. It's fire trails behind it. It enters freezing cold. They do it like one other time in this movie, but from what I remember in like part 2 and part 3, they kind of just forget about this.
Yeah, it was more of a it happened and.
I remember hearing on a commentary where it's like, again, this is just like a pain in the ass to make this car cold over and over again, and it was just, maybe they were just like, okay, yeah, let's just not remind anyone. So he goes, they're explaining how it works, and they make a joke. Oh, you can go to the Declaration of Independence signing. You can witness the birth of Christ. John, where would you go? What's your one date?
Ooh. I think I would just like to go back to the 50s or 60s and go around, listen to some good music, visit some no, I don't even have any places I'd want to visit, just experience the way life was back then.
No, yeah. I could definitely see going back to the 50s. I am always a fan of the 70s, the clothing, the music. That'd be cool. It's weird, like, looking back on history. I'm sure 10, 20 years from now, we'll see how dated the stuff we were doing is. But, like, when I'm thinking back to, like, the 90s and 2000s, I don't really see that much difference. They're not really defined. But like you go back like the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they all had like you could go to like a spirit week at school and you could dress up, you know, as for a different decade every day, and it's very you know the look kind of thing. Okay, if it's dressed like 2005, and you're like, I don't know what is that. That was 10 years ago, or I don't even know what I would do for 1995. Grunge, flannel, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you know, I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know about the future. Like if I do in the future, I think I got to go far in the future because again, there's been advancements for sure from 2005 to 2000 or 2015, but like I don't know. I'm gonna have to go far to really see.
I don't know if I'd want to meet anyone that I know or family members or anything. You know, that's
it's creepy, like knowing like maybe like how you die or how.
Right. I mean, it not only does it cause problems for Marty, but it just to explain it all to someone, and you know, I don't know if I would want to go through that hassle. You know, I would want to be there to enjoy myself, not to, you know, see what happens and worry about it, or you know, have to deal with someone, you know, saying, "Oh, can you do this?" or whatever. You know. Yeah,
and also you're gonna see maybe like who you get married to, or you know, something like that, and that might kind of like jinx you. Like, okay, wait, I'm supposed to marry this person, and then you might try it, and it just might, it might just cause some problems there.
Or the classic, what happens if you go kill your grandfather paradox, you know?
That's a whole another 2-hour podcast. But all right, so now we learn more about the time machine, and it runs on plutonium. He got this plutonium from the Libyans, by giving them a pinball or a bomb made out of pinball machine parts. What? Huh. Again, so did they try this and like it just didn't work?
It took them long enough for him to escape and have it for a while. Because I mean, he had it in the morning of the same day. So
yeah, they were looking for it. It was on the news that it already made news that they're still looking for this missing plutonium. Like. Yeah. It's just weird because I just can't even imagine. So like, you know, like this, I don't want to get kind of morbid here, but it's like, so these Libyan terrorists were probably going to do something with this bomb, and you know, and then thankfully, I guess it didn't work. Doc saved the day, and they're not too happy though.
It's the second thing he's done right.
Yeah, there you go. His calculations were correct on this. And now he goes, they found me. I don't know how, but they found me. There's a van, the only van in this parking lot. It says, Dr. Emmett L. Brown, scientist. I don't know how, but they found him. Like, all right.
It's not like he's in the phone book or anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Is 1640 Riverside Drive. But yeah, so it's also interesting. So we have this huge chase scene with the Libyans. And I remember watching it at one point and it being cut out. Did you know that like after 9/11, when it like kind of runs in syndication, when it runs on TV, TBS, all that kind of stuff, they cut out a lot of the scene. And I think this scene is pretty necessary for the film.
Do they? I had no idea they did that. I haven't watched it on TV in years. I mean, I own a copy of it, so
I think it's back in now. But yeah, it's from what I had to read to look it up because I couldn't remember what exactly cut out. I just remember in my head that there was something cut out. And according to this website, they cut out Doc wasn't shot. They cut out because that scene, wow. And then there was no faces or dialogue from the Libyans. So it becomes this 3 to 5 minute scene became 40 seconds according to this website. Yet we see it all at the end. They show it like at the end, you know, when we see it. It's all there then. Maybe because it's from a side angle, you can't really see it. They're far away. I don't know.
The editor forgot.
But like, yeah, like how did this?
Like how that sets up the movie.
Yeah. Like why is Marty?
Doc getting shot sets up the movie. That's the only reason Marty went back in time.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Like there'd be no movie without this scene.
Oh my God.
And then it's also when we're in the 50s, it's like, Doc, I got to tell you about what happened that night. Let's say if you're watching this for the first time on like TBS the audience is also like, yeah, like what the hell happened that night? What's so important? Like, yeah, it blows my mind that this was cut out. I mean, after 9/11, it was a weird time, and like it changed a lot between airport security to Back to the Future on TBS. There was a lot of repercussions. All right, so here we are, finally 1950s. 47 minutes into the podcast, 1950s. Here we are. So we're at Peabody's farm, and it looks like they chose a DeLorean just for this spaceman joke. That it looks like a spaceship. He's in a radiation suit. He looks like an alien. Already we're getting the jokes. Between the 50s and the 80s, and it's interesting because even in the 2000s, these still work. We still get them. I wasn't born in the 80s. I don't know anything about the 80s, but all these jokes, they work. Now they speed off and he runs over the pine, and this is like one of those details that you may not notice on the first time, but on the third or fourth watch, like he had the crazy idea about breeding pine trees. There was 2 pine trees, now there's 1. So Twin Pines Ranch, which becomes Twin Pines Mall, is now Lone Pine Mall at the end, and it's these small little details that this is what makes the film important, special to me, because again, I've watched this movie probably 88 times, and every time you watch it, there's something else you notice, and that if these things weren't in there, I'd watch it twice and be like, okay, I got it. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, it always leaves something for you to look for on the subsequent watches and saying, yeah, I saw that last time. Now I'm seeing it from the other side where, it's not just at the end. Oh, that's why. It's, I can see the initial, the cause, and then the effect. And what's nice is sharing those with other people too while you're watching it.
Definitely. Yep. So now we get to outside Lyon Estates. That's where Marty lives. And we see nothing there except for the signs Lyon Estates. The car stops working. It says plutonium chamber empty. But it's interesting because, in the beginning, when we were talking about the time machine earlier on, Doc says, like Marty asks, does it run on normal gasoline? And he's like, no, it requires something a little more kick, plutonium. So we see it not working here. But then in part 3, this is where it gets fishy. He's like, okay, we got Mr. Fusion. We can go home. The gas line's ripped, but Mr. Fusion, we're good. It's like, oh no, that Mr. Fusion does the time circuits, flux capacitor. The car still runs on gasoline. Uh-oh, we got paradox.
Yeah, they might have overlooked that one and has been the rules for the purposes of part 3, I guess. I mean, I'm just wondering, Mr. Fusion, why can't he power the engine too? I mean, if you're going through all the work to, make this flux capacitor run at this, insane amount of energy, why can't a tiny bit of that, all you need is a tiny bit, go to, an electric motor or something?
Yeah. Doc Brown invented a time machine. He later makes a refrigerator in part 3, pretty much. He has all these inventions. He made clocks 25 minutes slow. You're telling me he can't just fix a car? He's the town's blacksmith. He's a mechanic. He can't do this? Oh. All right. So Marty is walking in town, and I want to just make a note of this now. Lyon Estates is 2 miles away from the town, so we're gonna remember that later. All right, so we're in Hill Valley now, and we're exploring. We got Mr. Sandman playing. We go to Lou's Cafe here, and we're gonna keep a running tally because Marty's wearing his trademark. He has his vest on, his red vest. I want to keep a running tally of all these life preserver jokes, all these life vest jokes. We get 2 in this scene. They really like this. The writers really, really wanted to hit this one. So it's like, first one, like, what happened, kid? You jump ship, and then when Biff's cronies come in, he goes, Dork thinks he's gonna drown. All right. I also, Michael J. Fox can wear this denim on denim thing. He has the denim jacket with the denim jeans. I've tried this. I can't pull it off. What am I doing wrong, John?
I don't know. I know one of my friends from high school, his father would always wear this, and we'd always call it the Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just don't get how he makes it look so cool, and I do it, and it's like, what is this geek doing? What is this guy? But good for him. Now, Lou gets pretty pissed off at Marty here. It starts off fine, but I guess because he ripped up his phone book, he took a page out of it. He's like, you gonna order something, kid? And we get the famous scene of, okay, give me a tab. I can't give you a tab unless you order something. Give me a Pepsi free. You want a Pepsi, you're gonna pay for it. We get these jokes. Some of these might not work now. Like I just happen to know, tab, but that's not really here. Pepsi free. Yeah. I don't think this is the one part where it's we're on the border of maybe not working. Maybe 5 years. People will be like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Yeah.
All right. So we're on the street now. Marty is chasing George, and yes, he's in that tree. He's bird watching. Now, here's a fact that maybe you guys you might not know this, John. I went to this actual avenue, and really because I happened to be in Pasadena that day. That's where they filmed it, and I was really close to it. And because it's not just one house on this street, all the houses are on this one street. You have Lorraine's house. Like 2 doors down from that is George McFly's house. Obviously, you have the tree he falls out of right across the street from Lorraine's. You also have Biff's grandmother's house, like 2 houses from Lorraine's house. We see in part 2. I mean, they must really love this street. They shot everything here. It's a very important street to history, because Marty pushes George out of the way here. And this is just such a great moment. The way they shoot it, where it's like they push, Marty falls down, and we see George's head just boom pops up in the frame, like that was not supposed to happen, kind of thing. And this is just, I love this moment. And we get Stella. Another one of these damn kids jumped in front of my car. You know what I'm gonna say, right?
Yeah, I know. Good.
Another one of these kids. So, I'm sorry. Let's see, Mr. Baines. Another one of these kids. Maybe the fault isn't these kids. Maybe it's you. Another one of these kids jumped in front of your car. Maybe you jumped your car in front of these kids. Okay. But, all right. So, Marty's out, and he wakes up, and he thinks it's all a dream. His mom is talking to him. Don't worry, you're just safe and sound now, back in good old 1955. And whoop, he wakes up, and he sees his mom, who's so hot, thin. Like that's just like an awkward thing. Like even I know we're getting in some risque stuff here, but like I don't think I would ever refer to my mom as hot. Like I don't know. Like, yikes. And also his pants are off. This is so I'm guessing Mr. Baines brought the Marty up, carried him up probably to the bed here. Who took off his pants? I guess Lorraine did. That's
hopefully Lorraine's mother.
I'm hoping it was the mom too, but like,
ends up being his grandmother. But
yeah,
I guess it's better.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen this scene with George. Just this whole Calvin Klein, like, awkward thing on the bed. Because Marty obviously wasn't having it because he knew this was his mom. But, like, just Lorraine throwing herself at George. I think it would just been an interesting, like, dynamic here. I'm sure he would have just been, yeah, okay. Like, lips sealed, all right.
My lucky day.
You can call me Calvin. You can call me whatever you want. Like, but he has to go down for dinner. He puts his pants back on. He puts the life preserver back on. We get another joke. Oh, how long have you been in court or something? So Coast Guard. And he's like, oh, Navy, or it's like, again, that's joke number 3 for this life preserver. We get a lot of other great jokes here. We get the Joey in the playpen. That's Uncle Jailbird Joey. And we also have, nobody has 2 television sets. I remember back in the day watching this, like, we probably had 3 or 4 TVs at the house. We were probably only 2 really hooked up to get channels. But now it's weird now because we're almost becoming the 50s where there's less and less TVs, I feel like. Everything is with computers, with tablets, with phones. Like, sure, we have a TV, but at this point, like I'm going to just Chromecast on. I'm not.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking there's 4 TVs in my house, and I personally, the computer I'm running on right now has 4 screens.
Wow.
And that's not even all the monitors I have either.
You must be rich. Yeah, I don't like this kid. This kid in the Davy Crockett hat. He's just so full of it. This guy is like, I've seen this one. He's like, what are you talking about? It's brand new. Yeah. What's a rerun? Like, he's just like, shut up, dude. You just met this guy. It's not all about you. But yeah, so we also get the joke, where's Riverside Drive, and it's it's right by John F. Kennedy. It's John F. Kennedy Drive, and he's like, who the hell is John F. Kennedy? Now this father, I'm interested about this father because he says this kid's an idiot. Lorraine, if you ever have a kid that acts this way, I'll disown you. Well, he does. She does have a kid that acts this way because she has Marty. Did this ever happen? Did she get disowned?
We never do see the grandfather in the future.
Yeah, I mean, he's not there. And they were gonna have a cake for Uncle Jailbird Joey. Maybe he would have been the grandfather would have been there too as a family event, but not there. Maybe he just didn't make it. He hit another kid with a car, and he's behind bars too with Joey. All right, so let's see here. So we're going over to Doc's house now, and now it's his mansion. And he pulls him in because he wants to try out another invention on him. We see Puppy Einstein. There's no way that this can be Einstein, right? There's no way.
No, that's tough. That's got to be.
It has to be
the previous or the twice previous dog.
Yeah, because 30 years. That's what, like 120 in dog years, like.
No, I'm just thinking. Yeah, one of my dogs lasted like 15 years, and that was. That's a long time for the dog, So yeah. It had to have been at least the one prior.
Yeah.
But
we also get another life preserver joke. We're up to 4 now. Doc's like, let me guess, you want me to donate to the Coast Guard Youth Auxiliary? No, he's not in the Coast Guard, Doc. You're wrong. And now we're comparing notes. He's trying to convince him that he's from the 80s. And we get, who's president of the United States in 1985? He's like, Ronald Reagan. Like,
the actor?
Yeah. First of all, Marty's so excited. He's like, I got one. Like, I got the answer right. I know it. Mm-hmm. I know the president. It's like, good job, Marty. But yeah, Ronald Reagan, the actor. This is a great line here. I'm trying to think. It would be, I guess, if we went back to the 50s, if we said, who's mayor, Barack Obama. If I don't even know, first of all, he wouldn't be alive, but they wouldn't know who he is. But yeah, I'm trying to think, like, so today, 30 years from now, what is it, like Chris Pratt, the president? Like, who's...
Oh, God, please don't.
Who's president of the United States in now? That would be crazy in 30 years from now. I don't know. Seemed like you got something, John. No,
not even gonna go there.
Okay, probably good. So now we pick up the car. We watch the tape, and we get the famous 1.21 gigawatts. And I just love Marty going, what the hell is a gigawatt? And they're freaking out like, I can't believe I did this. Now, it's like, you're stuck here, Marty. I'm sorry, you're stuck here. And then he says, well, I got a life. I got a girl. She's crazy about me. It's like, look what she wrote. And like they show this piece of paper, and I don't know, Marty is really into this because all it says is I love you. Sure, that's a big thing to have those words. But it's not like a sonnet. Like, it's not like, look what she wrote about me, Doc. Look at this poem. Look at this manifesto. Like, no, it's I love you. Like, it's just a little jot, pick up some milk. Love, Marty. It's like a little thing. But he's really excited. But yeah, we thankfully we have the flyer. We know the information. And this Saturday night, we're going to send him back to the future. Marty wants to hang out, but Doc's like, no, you got to stay home. But no, unfortunately, he already bumped into his parents, so we have that. There we go. We have to get the ball rolling here and getting them back together. So we go to school. We go to Hill Valley High, and we meet, Geeky George. And, Marty tries introducing to Lorraine, and it's just not working. And we get some great lines here at the school. First of all, we get, wait a minute, Doc, are you trying to tell me that my mother has got the hots for me? And I think you brought up these quotes. You want to share these quotes?
Yeah, sure. When Marty's realizing what's going on, he says, "Oh, this is heavy," and Doc keeps asking him through the whole movie. Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational field in the future? Or weight has nothing to do with it. And I like those lines that show Doc being misunderstanding the lingo of the future.
Yeah, like I didn't know this is heavy was a line in the 80s, but to Marty it was. It's just fun, like, to have this. Yeah, like, weight has nothing to do with it. And we also get a line from Biff because they're in the cafeteria. Marty has this altercation with Biff because he's really going on Lorraine here. He sticks up for her, and since you're new here, I'm gonna cut you a break. And he says, so why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? That's just, I think, just such a funny line for the character, that he's that dumb that he doesn't even know how that thing ends. And then it's kind of becomes a running joke throughout the trilogy where it's that's funny as a screen door on a battleship, and he's like, submarine, you dork. Like, it's but all right, so George is just not, he doesn't want to do this. He does not want to keep getting rejected. So we get this scene here of Marty. He gets the idea because his favorite show is science fiction theater. He's going to dress up as a spaceman and try to convince George that he has to do this. Now, before we get to the scene, this is mind-boggling to me, and I think this would make this film. It was the number one film of the year. This would make it the number one, or on the bottom of the list, the exact opposite if it had this title of Spaceman from Pluto. This was a title that Sidney Sheinberg, one of the execs, told to Zemeckis to change. Spaceman from Pluto. Now, this Sidney person did have some good input. It was mostly changing names, though. Like, this is what execs, I feel like, do. It's like, originally Lorraine was Meg, but they changed that to make, it's actually Lorraine is Sidney's wife. Doc Brown was changed from Professor Brown. That was a big change.
It's a good change. I like that.
Yeah. And then the dog was from a chimp. So those are some of his changes. But yeah, he changed this title, and the best is, I guess, Spielberg saw it, like, because he got involved because Zemeckis was like, I can't do this. Like, no. So he gets Spielberg to help him out, and Spielberg writes a memo back and says, "Oh, such a funny joke. Thank you so much, Sidney. That was a good laugh. Thanks." And he was just so embarrassed by this that he just dropped it. He did not say a word after it. I just think that's the Spielberg, just like,
oh man.
But yeah. So we get this whole thing of Darth Vader from planet Vulcan I'm really curious of what George, because I'm sure he went to see Star Wars and watch Star Trek just to be like, wait a minute, because like he'll remember this moment where an alien came down to melt his brain. He's gonna remember this forever, and like I'm just curious if he like, wait a minute, like the Star Wars and Star Trek that like he'd be watching it and be really confused.
That being said, he doesn't recognize Marty in the future as being.
Oh, we're gonna
Marty
get to
from
that.
the past.
We're gonna get to
so
But
we'll revisit this one.
yeah, because like later he does, the next day he remembers this. As he's rushing to see Marty in the afternoon. Now, this gets interesting because there's a deleted scene where it's implied that he pretty much drugged up his dad. You know, that's why he says he overslept. No, because he got drugged up and he like couldn't wake up, kind of thing. And that's why he was late. This is pretty creepy to drug up your dad. You know, when he was a kid, like I don't. This movie wasn't risque enough. I don't know. It's up there. But now we get this scene here. We're at the cafe. You know, he orders a milk chocolate. And that was his big moment there. And he goes up to Lorraine and he uses some of Marty's lines, but unfortunately he mispronounces them. And you know, it's like, I'm George McFly. I'm your density. I mean, your destiny. Now, I'm going to tell you this story, John. I can't remember if I told you this. So I've met Leah Thompson, and I when I saw her, I told her how much of a fan I was, and you know, I go for a picture, and you know, as I'm taking taking the picture, I go, oh man, this is my density, and then like she does not say a word. So two things either happened. One, she didn't hear me because like I didn't like yell it, but like I said it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you know, she heard it and was like, okay,
all right, kid.
And or three, because like I told this, I think I told my boss this, and he was like, you know, she wouldn't remember this line of dialogue from 30 years ago. I'm like, no, she would remember this line of dialogue because not only is it one of the biggest lines in the film, but this, I mean, no offense to Leah Thompson, but like this is her role. This is what she's known for. This is it. So it's like, for me, if I was known for like, it's like the soup Nazi in Seinfeld. It's someone going up to him saying no soup for you. Like this is.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, that's your line.
That's your career.
So I'm gonna pretend that she didn't hear it and sleep happy at night. Now, so Marty has this whole confrontation with Biff. He sticks up for you know, George and Lorraine again here, and he punches Biff, and we get this whole scene in the courthouse square. You know, he creates the skateboard. Man, he's really his mom is getting very infatuated with him. It's like this is getting like a obsessive stalker level at this point. Like she really wants Marty's flux capacitor at this point. Now, I'm wondering, how is this possibly okay that Biff is just like driving around through bushes? Like the police, like I'm sure maybe we weren't there at the moment, but like I'm sure Biff would gotten somewhat in trouble for this. His license would be taken away. He wouldn't be driving to the dance in part 2. He's just tearing up this middle, you know, this square, and I don't know, but for some reason there's a manure truck parked in the middle of town that's filled. They're just sitting there, and they crash into it in a funny scene, you know, and they yell stuff, and they I don't even know what they would air on the TBS version. Do they yell stuff?
I mean, they yelled shoot.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. But no, I mean, after 9/11, you can't yell shoot on TBS. But I don't know. Yeah. So we got a little bit of a mess there. So let's go over to Doc's garage now. He's rewatching the tape over and over. He doesn't want to know about the future though, but he's trying to figure out from the tape. And he also spent most of his day building a model, not up to scale, not painted, but none of this was necessary. I don't know why he was doing this. For a 5-second demonstration, he spent a lot of time on this model of the town square. Now,
Nice looking model.
yeah, I mean, it looks great, but it's like, what are you gonna do with this now? I guess you could have it because it's the town square, but who knows if part of it also caught fire when he did the
Right?
the electricity. Like, he put a lot of electricity into a single nail. Like, I don't know. He hooked up like a car to it. Now, this scene, I just want to point out, I could be wrong with this, but you're going to have to correct me if I am. Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thompson, in 3 movies, this is their only scene together, and they say hi. That's it. For pretty much, the main characters, they all have at least a scene together, a moment, something, but no, they just say hi to each other back and forth, and that's it for 3 movies.
Yeah. Next time Doc sees Leah Thompson, she's out cold, right? In the beginning of the second movie, is it?
No, that's Jennifer.
Oh, it's Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even.
Yeah.
That's not even. Yeah, no. Yeah, they don't ever say anything to each other. Then, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. Now we're gonna do some laundry with George, and I just love this scene, how it was directed, because as they're doing this, he's explaining the plan, and girls kind of get angry when you start taking advantage of them, and he's like, wait, you're gonna touch her on her, and like he's holding up the bra in his hand, and it's just like little details like that. It really accentuates or punctuates the joke there. We also get a line here, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. Now this is interesting because this is almost like time is a flat circle in True Detective so like, I believe he got it from Doc first, and then he tells his dad this, then his dad will tell him this, and he'll, like, at the end of the movie, he's like, it's like I'm always saying, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And it's just like this weird, this line that keeps going in circles here, that everyone takes credit for. All right, John, can you believe it? We're about at the dance here. We're almost at the dance.
Yeah, almost.
We're almost there. So they're setting up in the courthouse square right before the dance here, and it is strange how he's setting all this stuff up, especially like a day or two after there was just this like crazy car chase throughout the town. They're letting this man just put up all this wiring, all this crazy stuff. Sure, the police do come up to him and is like, oh, you got a permit for this. And in a deleted scene, we find out, because he looks through his wall, and everyone, somebody asked me, he's like, well, what was he doing there? Because he doesn't have a permit. Like,
Yeah.
But no, he's in a deleted scene, he's giving him some money.
He's got a permit with whose face on it? What value?
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan's face on it.
No, I don't even know who would be on it. Like, I guess it would be the same. Yeah, I guess because Andrew Jackson, Hamilton, they're all old enough for the 50s. But yeah, I don't know. It was probably something like a 20 that was like really a 50 in that time or something like.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at the dance, and Lorraine's up to park. She's drinking, she's smoking, she's, you're beginning to sound just like my mother. She's really not the Lorraine. It's interesting because so in the opening scene, she's like, oh, I never parked, I never did this, I never chased a boy. She's just lying to her kids because it's clear that she did a lot of things.
Well, she says, I'm 18. It's not like I've ever parked before.
Yeah. Well, wonder who she's parking with. She kisses Marty, and it's, she's like, it's like kissing my brother. What? I'm hoping just on the cheek. Like when have you kissed your brother on the lips like that? Because this whole family with all this Freudian Oedipus kind of things going on. I don't know. Yeah, it's good that George didn't like come up at this moment to deliver that line, because it would make no sense. Like, Lorraine doesn't want anything, and it's just like, hey, you get your damn hands off her, and he's like, what? Like, so that's good. So Biff does come instead, and we get this kind of scene. It's pretty intense. We're gonna get to this like repercussions for the family later on. What Biff may have been doing to Lorraine here. But Biff's gang, he takes him and they throw him in the trunk of a car. They lock it up, and we find out it's for Marvin Berry's band. But explain to me, why are the keys in the trunk?
I couldn't tell you. I know. No, I couldn't tell you. Sorry.
Like their trunk is open as they're all sitting in the car. I think presumably getting high, or at least smoking cigarettes or something. Like
Biff didn't take it out and throw it in the trunk. I don't remember in that much detail to be able to say he did or didn't.
I mean, you're right. But I think it's. Oh, maybe it was already open, but it's just weird that the keys would just be sitting there as they're sitting in the car. Maybe they would have the keys in the ignition, listening to music or something.
Yeah,
like I don't know. But yes, we get this scene here. And George finally, he goes to the car. He says the line, and he sees, it's Biff, and this is such a moment. I get chills watching it. It's this punch. It's like heard around the world. He does it, and it's like, we get a spin, and it's just. I know we saw it in the theaters for 25th anniversary, and I just recently actually saw it. They played it at the Tribeca Film Festival for the 30th, and I watch it, and I love this moment in the theater because this moment happens, and the place just erupts in cheers, and it's just a great moment to be in the theater and just see George just lay one on Biff, and this is the thing that just changes everything for the McFlys. But so now we're back at the dance. Marty has to step in as a guitar player because Marvin somehow cut his hand opening up. He sliced it. I don't know what he was opening it with, but he
looked like a screwdriver.
Yeah, but like he sliced it pretty bad. I don't know. That must be a sharp screwdriver. So he's gonna play, and he finally got to play at the school dance. So take that, Strickland. He got it. And they're playing Earth Angel, and then this is where it gets weird. This redhead just comes in and interrupts the dance between George and Lorraine, and this kind of becomes like a thriller at this point. Like the music is like, dan, and then like there's like this laugh of like, and it's like echoing, and they're George, and it's just like, for me, this is like one moment like, I don't know if this work, like it's, you want that dramatic thing of like the music, but it's like, who is this guy? Like they're only dancing. It's not like what was happening in the car, with Biff. And why isn't one of maybe Biff's gang members doing this? I don't know. It just seems weird that like this redhead just came out of nowhere and was just like, I'm taking it. It's like, what? Let's see here. So it does lead though to this music swell again. It's just so well done with the music, score, everything. As he pushes the redhead down, and that was it. The redhead's done now, I guess. And they kiss, and then it's like the Earth Angel, just picks up, and it's just great. There you go, happy ending. Everyone's there. But then we get this scene of Johnny Be Good, and I want to talk about. So Marvin Berry, he's the lead singer here of this band. He's so excited after Earth Angel. He's like, let's do another one. Let's do one more. But why though? Because, sorry, Marty, but you sucked. Like that was like.
Yeah, he kind of stopped halfway through the song.
Yeah, he was falling. He was like passing out. Like they don't know that Marty can actually play. Sure, he played part of the beginning, part of the end.
He was
pretty good.
Doing chords, I mean.
Yeah, but like he just was terrible. And they're like, you know what? Let's do another one. And then not only was he not going to just play guitar, he pushes Marvin Berry to the side and was like, no, let me take over. Yeah. I'm that good. I just can't play Earth Angel, but hey, I'll play this song here. And he invents rock and roll. He's, just going, he's going crazy here. Marvin is excited. He's calling his brother Chuck Berry. Again, it's just a fun reference because it's one of those things, like, it takes a second for you to realize what's going on. Okay, Marvin Berry. Hey, Chuck. And it's like, oh, Chuck Berry. It's just really kind of just, just works here. But this dance, they're loving this rock and roll, but they're going a little nuts. This dancing crew. There's like lifts. People are flying over their heads. It's just like,
Yep.
John, I don't know how many school dances you went to, but for the ones I went to, it was nothing like this.
No, nothing like that at all.
When Big Willie style, came out and we're getting jiggy with it, nobody was being lifted over their heads. Like,
nope.
Maybe we can go back in part 2 where we see Biff spiking the punch bowl. Mm-hmm. Maybe that they had some liquid in them that they were excited now and they were doing all this crazy stuff. I don't know, but they're really into it. And then Marty kind of just goes nuts. He's doing all the things from his heroes. And we later find out, Lorraine, we'll see him as they're coming out and it's like, that was very interesting music. We could have just skipped this whole thing with Biff. That would have been a boner killer right there. That would have been, nope. Sorry, this Dreamboat Calvin Klein. I don't think so. We're good. And then we get this moment between them where we never see you again. Oh, you guys ever have kids? If one sets fire to the living room rug, go easy on him. First of all, this is their first date. Probably shouldn't be talking about kids. You're gonna kill the mood again, Marty. But it's also, I want to know what happened to this rug. How did was he playing with matches? Was he like a blowtorch? Like, why did he have something going on with fire in the living room? Maybe it was just the candle. Now that I'm talking about it, I don't know. But you would think, so they say, Marty, such a nice name. But why did they name their third son Marty? Third sibling Marty. It was like, sure, you're not going to name Linda that, but Dave was born first. If you really liked Marty that much, I don't know. And then also, it would have been weird too. It's like, wait a minute. So the guy we met that brought us together was named Marty. He talked about when we had kids, one setting fire to the living room rug. It's weird that our third kid, Marty, did that. And he looks also just like him.
Yeah, where's that life preserver too?
Yeah, there you go. But all right, now that we're done with that, we have one more order of business, and we got to get Marty back home. And we're at the clock tower. This big scene. This is one of the most important, memorable things of the movie, of film history. Wasn't even going to be this. It was originally, they were going to need a power of an atomic explosion at a Nevada test site to do this.
Holy cow.
And they nixed this because way too much money. You're making this movie, and we're letting you make this movie that we're kind of like, about. It's not risque enough. We're letting you do it. You're not doing an atomic bomb in Nevada. No. But again, this all works out. Like, I couldn't imagine another way. With the lightning bolt, it has to be like this one moment. The clock is involved with time. Like it would have made no sense. We're gonna have to have him go to Nevada. It just wouldn't. I don't think it'd been as climactic. It was, everything had to be just right in the scene. But okay, so Marty, comes back. He's running late because he had to change. He didn't want to go back in a suit. Who cares, Marty? You really got to get the denim on again. Like, who's going to see you when you arrive at 1:30 in the morning in 1985? Nobody is going to see you in a suit.
That bum.
Well, I guess, but you don't want to be seen by that bum because come Monday morning when they see that the church is or actually Sunday. It was on Saturday night. He goes Sunday morning. Oh, the church is busted. Who did this? Oh, it was the guy in the denim vest or the denim jacket. You want to disguise. But now Doc finds the letter in his pocket, and I don't get what the big deal is. He rips it up. I don't want to know the information. Why don't you just leave it sealed? You put it in a file somewhere, a lockbox. Give it to Western Union, which you did in part 2, and tell them to give it to you in 1985 or something. It just, I don't know. it seems weird to me. But now, so the clock goes nuts. It's 10:04 is the time he goes home, but it's at 10 o'clock. The bells start going off. This is weird because it's Saturday night. Turn that off. the bells I hear in town, they normally will stop at like 6, 7 o'clock. Like they don't want to wake people up in the middle of town at 10 at night. But he has to. We have to rush now, and he slides across the car. Have you ever done this, John? Because I've tried it once, and it doesn't work as good as mine.
It doesn't work well at all. No,
it does not work. I don't know how he did it. Good job, Marty. He slides across the car. He gets to the starting line, and he's just like, darn it, Doc, why do you rip up that letter? Wait a minute, I got a time machine. I'll go back early and warn him. And he says, 10 minutes ought to do it. All right, so he types in 10 minutes, and the clock goes from 1:35 to 1:24. That's 11 minutes. So you got it wrong. Your calculations were not correct. So he does 10 minutes. We later find out it would not have been enough time. I don't know what Marty thought, that he was gonna rush over there, see himself,
yeah, right.
I don't know. I guess he would have been driving. He would thought the car would still be working to get there. I don't know. But yeah, that's interesting. Now everything that could go wrong in this scene goes wrong. We got, the car stops, the wire falls. We're lucky he's in Los Angeles, and there wasn't any traffic for Marty, to get behind. That would have been some ending where the lightning strikes and it's just some random, Hummer or something that drives by. Now, yeah, so 10:04 p.m. This thing, I didn't even write any notes for the scene because it's like every time I watch, I just am sucked back into it. Like it's just it's so gripping. Like every time I watch, I'm like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? And it's so well done. 10:04 p.m. Now, John, I'm sure I told you this. I'm a little mad. I'm mad at my mom still. Now, I was born November 10th at 10:11 p.m. Okay, I guess it was maybe my fault that I didn't come out at 10:04 p.m. I was late, but I think it's my mom's fault that she couldn't have waited 2 more days. Just 2 more days. I could have been born on November 12th. It would have been close to 10:04 p.m. Ugh, how awesome would that be? That would have just been weird. But yeah. So Doc's really excited. He sent him back. If only he knew he would have to do it again. And we look up the clock. We get a cool transition. We're back in 1985. The church is just destroyed now. And he arrived, even though he said it for 11 minutes, it's now 1:23. So it's 12 minutes now. And remember back an hour and 30 minutes ago when I talked about how it was 2 miles from his house to town?
Yep.
Well, the mall was farther away. So let's just say 2.5 miles. He ran 2.5 miles to the mall from the town square. He didn't have a skateboard or anything like that. 2.5 miles in about 10 minutes?
Just about.
He should be on track. He's good. He's fast. That's like a 4-minute mile.
Yeah, right.
But so we get the scene now. It's Lone Pine Mall as we discussed. We see the shooting. Now he's at the top of this hill, and can you explain to me why he has to fall down the hill, roll down?
No, I have no explanation.
It's first of all, it's dark. The Libyans are not going to see him because he's far away. They're in the middle of a car chase. He just has to roll down the hill for some reason, and they crash. The Libyans crash into this film kiosk thing. There's no fire. There's no explosion, so they're still alive. Yet he's okay with it. He's running to help Doc.
It's no longer a problem.
no longer a problem. The Libyans are, I guess, gone. And we see that there's a bulletproof vest, and I don't want to spoil Back to the Future Part 3 for anyone, but I think this is another thing that's so cool, because we get to a lot of parts where history kind of repeats itself in this trilogy, and it's just, what saved Doc in the first one is what saves Marty in the third one, and it's just again so well thought out. He taped up the letter. Everything's fine, fine now, and he's gonna go 30 years into the future. Somehow he changed from 25. When he talked about in the first scene, where he was gonna go look up the World Series, all the winners of the World Series, which is interesting because that is the plot of the second movie. They didn't know at this moment that that would be the second one. But for a man who doesn't want to find out about how he's gonna die, he's willing to find out about the World Series, though. At least in this film, yeah. All right, so now we're home. Marty wakes up with his alarm being set at 10:28. Again, Marty cannot set clocks that well. He says 10 minutes, it's 11. Instead of 10:30, it's 10:28. It's lucky, though, because Huey Lewis plays as soon as the clock turns. The song starts. Now, this place has changed because of George's actions here. And this is where I really want to talk about, because so Marty, it seems like a good ending. Everything seems good. But now Marty has now lost 17 years of his life and family memories. Like, I'm sure some things still happen. They probably still went to, Disneyland at a certain moment or whatever. But I'm sure a lot of things are different. A lot of different experiences. And he has no recollection of any of those now.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's not one of those things that you really think about while you're watching the movie. You get to the end of the movie and you're like, resolution, everything's, like you said, everything's fine. But no, he has the incorrect 17 years of his life. So yeah, thinking back to, what happened in 5th grade or whatever, now no longer potentially is different, most likely is different, just because of the way his family is obviously different people, so his outlook on events would probably be different for him as well.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to think about, because the ending paints it as like a happy ending. I mean, it is, but he has a car, so if screw the 17 years of my life, I got a car now. I can go up to the lake and get jiggy with Jennifer up there and the aerobic girls. But yeah, and then we also get to a point, like we briefly talked about this. It's weird that they don't recognize Marty, or at least we don't see that moment, because sure, it's 30 years ago and it was only a week, but it's like this guy had a pretty big impact on their lives. It was Marty that put them together, and then it was so much so that George wrote his first novel on it, and the cover has, Marty in the Darth Vader costume, a match made in space. So again, it's weird that they're like, wait a minute, the guy we knew 30 years ago that wanted to go by Marty looks just like our kid, has the same interests as our kid. He plays guitar, he skateboards,
he's named Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange. Now, and he's hanging out with Doc Brown, which Lorraine met. It's just so kind of weird when you think about it. Now we talk about how great this ending is. Everyone's happy, everyone has better jobs and stuff, and Dave goes from working at, I think, a late shift at Burger King on Friday night to now wearing a suit to the office. But this is technically Saturday. I don't know if it's that great of a job if you're going into work. You have to wear a suit on a Saturday. You don't even get casual for the weekend. You have to wear a suit to go to work on a Saturday. That doesn't seem fun.
No, maybe just another loophole in their planning. But yeah, no. Yeah. Saturday suit doesn't sound fun.
No. So we see Biff now. He's out there waxing the car. And this also is another interesting thing we got to talk about. So 30 years ago, Lorraine is nearly raped. I'm going to guess raped. I mean, I don't know what's going on in that car, but it did not look good. It's a very traumatic moment, I'm sure, for Lorraine. Why are they still hanging out with Biff? Why are they letting, like, I'm sure George punched him and stuff for Lorraine, but you would think, I mean, what we see in the second movie, he's still kind of a jerk, and he's really like this bad guy still. It's not like he became this kind of nice, friendly guy that we see at the end of part one. He's this terrible person again. It's just weird that, yeah, he's still around the house. He comes in and out. He whacks our car. It's like, what? Like, this guy is a bad guy. Get away from him.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's not something that I would do.
Yeah. So he's out there waxing. Literally 2 seconds later, he gets this package and he signed for it and he brings it in. Yep, there's the book, Match Made in Space. And then, he says, "Oh, you're all waxed up, ready for tonight?" Marty has a new car. He's so excited. And, Jennifer's there. He's sorry for sore eyes. He acts like you haven't seen me in a week. Oh, I haven't. And we see, Lorraine and George looking at those two. And then out of nowhere, the DeLorean comes up, crashes into the garbage cans, makes all this noise. I find this interesting that they were just at the door. It's not like they went into a different room, into the bedroom or whatever. They didn't even see Marty even out there with Jennifer. They were just out there. And then there's like a car crash in front of their house. They don't care.
No one cares.
Yep. No one cares. All right. So it's also weird too, because in the 1985 that we see in the beginning of the film, the Lyon Estates doesn't look like that great of an area. Like it's promised as a great area in 1950, but it doesn't look that great. Even with all George's success, he still lives there. Like we find out in the second movie that, they don't live there in this alternate timeline. It's like more of a slum, and Marty goes into a different person's house. So it's been interesting too. I guess they just needed him. That would have been too much going on at the end of the film.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. We got the ending. They make this big joke. You got to come back with me. Where? Back to the Future. They have to go. Right now for some reason. They have a time machine, but they have to go right now. Marty just got back, but no, we got to go. Let's go. A lot of people think that this was like a thought out plan, like it was like the Star Wars, trilogy or the 6 films. This was a joke. They kind of just did it as like a fun thing. Oh, like here we go. It's just a little joke, getting the crew all together that they're going to go on another adventure that we see off screen or something. Because they joked that they would never have Jennifer with them, and when we get to part 2, let's see, 4 years from now for the 30th anniversary podcast, we can talk about how immediately they drugged up Jennifer, so they don't have to deal with her. They're like, nope, gone.
Yep.
But yeah, so Doc also says, both you and Jennifer turn out fine. It's your kids. Something has to be done about your kids. I'm going to say Marty did not turn out fine. We see he's not having much of a great life. He's living in Hilldale. He's working, with getting bossed around by needles. Like he got into a car accident because people kept calling him Chicken. Like,
yeah.
Which we didn't even. That's a part 2 thing we got to talk about when we get there. Yeah. So it's interesting that it's not his kids, but it's also him. He's not doing too well. But we finally they're like, you better back up. Not enough road to get to 88. And they Doc says probably one of the most famous lines of the film: "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads." And boom, they fly away. This line was so important that Ronald Reagan, the actor and president, in 1986, his State of the Union address, he quoted this line. Supposedly was a big fan of Back to the Future. Like when he watched this, I guess like in the presidential suite or whatever, he had the projectionist rewind the line about like Ronald Reagan, the actor, because he was laughing so hard. But and again, when we get to 5 years from now for the part 3 30th anniversary podcast, he was in talks to play the mayor, because this when he was done with being a president. He was in talks to play the mayor of Hill Valley in 1885, but I guess scheduling didn't work on that. That would have been pretty cool. All right, so John, that is the movie. We're not done yet, though. We're not done yet. We're getting there. But let's see. We're about an hour and 40-ish into this. The movie
43.
The movie is let's see. I think it's 116 minutes. So it's four under 2 hours. So we haven't eclipsed it yet, but we're getting there.
Close.
All right. So now let's talk about some of the legacy that obviously, it spawned many sequels, 2 sequels, an animated series, a theme park ride, video games. And there's even going to be an upcoming musical in London for Back to the Future. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, Power of Love for Best Song, Sound Mixing, Original Screenplay, and it won. So it's an Oscar award-winning film. It won for Sound Effects Editing. It also won a Saturn Award for Science Fiction Film. Got numerous BAFTA noms, Golden Globe nominations, including for picture, for screenplay, and Michael J. Fox even was for actor. They're all nominated. It's on a bunch of lists. You can always find it's on best movie list here and there.
Yep.
And it's it was included 23 on the greatest film list by Empire, 10 for best science fiction by the AFI. So it really goes down. It's crazy. 30 years later, it's still being shown. Sold out screenings. It's they're selling Nike, powered lace Nikes for thousands of dollars. They're talking about doing hoverboards. There's not maybe a week or two that something from this movie isn't quoted or shown on TV, movie. It's still here after all these years.
The famous Marty Goes Back on This Day, which we end up seeing every
single day
for the last 20 years.
The thing I hated the most about that was when it was 2013, 2014, and they would say it. I hated those the most. I could maybe get the 2015 ones. I'm like, okay, I can get it. 30 years. That was important. 2015 was important. But when it was he came in July 1st, 2013, it's no, did not. But so.
Well, now there's a website that every day says that today's the day that Marty went back.
Yeah, just as a joke, and I'm sure that's where people are getting the picture, because people know I love this film so much that on my Facebook all the time they'll post you better watch this movie tonight, and it's and it's that thing, and I'm it's not okay, but I do appreciate all the pictures and stuff. Now, so we talked a lot about these quotes, John. So let's maybe kind of rank. We did this with Ghostbusters. I pulled up the quotes we kind of nominated here, and let's kind of figure out which one we think is maybe the best.
All right.
So just to remind you to get them out there.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. I'm George McFly. I'm your density.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, so John, maybe what's your? I'm gonna kind of come up with my top 3 here. What's your top 3? I think this is how we did it last time. Then we had one that overlaps. So
I think so, and I think I think we're probably gonna have the same 3.
Okay.
But do you want me to say mine, or do you want to say yours?
Yeah, you say your 3.
I think. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? It's probably 3. My calculations are correct. Probably 2. And then roads, where we're going, we don't need roads, is number 1.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I was that's it. I think this went faster than we thought because I say both those lines are great, but it's like roads where we're going, we don't need roads. I mean, the president said it in the State of the Union address. There's no contest here. In Ghostbusters, we could go back and forth of like, oh, this line is funnier. This line is no, it's this. That's I mean, that's the line right there.
That's become used in things that are not even related to, you know, I mean, I remember in high school hearing people say it all the time for, you know, not necessarily reasons that needed it to be said, but, you know, just because it's such a iconic point in the movie, you know, it's the quote that you remember from the movie.
Yes. Yes. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Technically, they went to the future and they still needed some roads.
The sky roads.
They had sky roads, but then they also drove roads like on the roads in the street. So,
yep.
All right, but yeah. With this podcast, again, we're an hour and 50 minutes into this here, and we don't have time for part 2, part 3. Those, you know, maybe part 2 for the fall when we actually get to that date. That might be fun, at least a short podcast of like what they got right and wrong. I always will see things where it's like they got all this stuff, you know, wrong. They're so stupid, and it's like, first of all, they were 30 years different, and it was a joke. Like Zemeckis said, he never wanted to go to the future to begin with, but like they actually got a lot of things right if you actually think about it. Like, and that's all for a different podcast. But yeah, and I think that is it, John. Is there anything left to say about Back to the Future?
Only thing I could say is if you haven't seen it yet, why'd you listen? And go see it.
if you haven't seen it yet, you just listened to a 2-hour podcast on it. Yeah, spoilers. But yeah, thank you for watching this and then watching that. But no, yeah, it's a great film. I'm excited that we did this. This is one of the things like with podcasts. Like when we started the podcast, I was looking for an excuse to do this, and like I was just waiting for the 4 years now. It's like, okay, this is a good reason to do it now, finally. Because yeah, this movie really is like so important to me. Like there's not a day that goes by that I quote it. I don't hear a line in my head from it. Like there's just, you know, there's times where they'll just slip. I mean, even my thing on my phone, if you're watching this in Google Hangout, is the picture of them, and I can, like, because he has it in his pocket and he checks, you know, to see if they're fading or not and see where he is in time. And you know, posters in my wall. I've dressed up for him as Halloween so many times. It's just yeah, not
that was MacGruber.
Yeah, you thought that, but you were wrong. But yeah, so thank you, John, so much for letting me geek out for the last 2 hours and geeking out with me here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. And then thanks for also, you know, you're gonna do some audio work as always with this. Hopefully, maybe we'll play some music in there. We'll add in some quotes.
Have some plans already.
All right, I can't wait to hear it, John. Now, you know, yeah, last time we did this, we did Ghostbusters, and you know, you can go back, you can listen to that. I think that was a fun discussion that we did on Ghostbusters. That episode, you can find it probably easy either on iTunes, you know, on YouTube, youtube.com/doordon'tsee, or on the blog, doordon'tsee.blogspot.com. It's there, you know, to check out whenever you have a moment. We really want to hear what you guys thought of this episode and maybe other movies that we can do. Heck, I'm up for a Rambo First Blood Part 2. I don't know about you, John, but we can maybe check that movie out. Let us know on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, @doordon'tsee. It's all there. We really want to hear from you, what you guys thought of this episode. Now, let's see. Coming up, we might be off for a week or so. We've been talking a lot about TV, summer premieres. There's been a lot of stuff premiering. We got some more stuff for July. And then July is also Emmy nomination month. So look forward to that on the podcast. You thought I was getting nitpicky here. You just wait till the Emmy nominations come out, because that's a whole another side of me. But yeah, until then, yeah, I think that's it. We maybe Ghostbusters was just shorter movie that we eclipsed, because I mean we're close. We're really close. Maybe when we add the music, it'll be the exact time. Let's try for that, John.
All right.
But yeah, that's all I got, John. Thanks for joining me on this. I guess we're just out of time. There we go.
Oh.
All right. Well, where these podcasts go, we don't need roads because we're just sitting here on a computer. All right. But yeah, that's it, John. I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And that's all we got for Do or Don't's 30th anniversary of Back to the Future. Goodbye, everybody.